Well, on Monday, there was 1.4, well, yeah, I think it was 1.4 billion ounces were sold on COMEX to push the price down the way they did. I mean, that's more than
That's right.
150% of total annual production. So I mean, it's laughable. After January 1st, after today, they're not going to be exporting any more silver. Silver now looks like it's going to become, if not the greatest short squeeze of all time, one of the greatest short squeezes of all time. Well, and we'll get to this in a minute. There's a bifurcation between paper metal and physical metal exchanges. Just as a background, silver has been in a structural deficit for at least the last 5 years. And when I say structural deficit, for instance, this year, you're looking at demand somewhere around 1.3 billion ounces versus 850 million ounces being produced collectively worldwide for a year. And that huge demand is for, the green industry, solar panels, etc. Now the big thing in 2025 was AI. Well, AI cannot be created without silver. I think it was Samsung said that they've invented a new EV battery that charges in 9 minutes and goes 900 kilometers, but it uses a kilogram of silver for each battery. That's 32 ounces per battery. Gold, only 1 ounce of gold comes out for every 9 or 10 ounces of silver that are mined. And gold is pure money. And we're living in a world that is bankrupting. And gold and silver are the only two monies on the planet that cannot bankrupt. Shanghai, for example, which is a cash and carry market, it is not uh, it's not a futures market. And a lot of people have talked about backwardation, where the spot market is higher than a future month. And without going into the reasons that should never be, well, the reason it should never be is because there's a time value to money. So the spot market should always be below the futures market. And it's not. The spot market is above the futures market because traders are saying, I want my metal. I want it now. I'm not waiting 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. I'm not even sure if I'm going to get it. And there's been created a huge arbitrage spread of $7 or $8, and it's actually more than that now, between the East and the West. The cash markets are trading much higher than the paper markets. That should be arbitraged out. It should have already been arbitraged out, but it's not because traders are either unwilling to take the risk of buying on the paper market, selling on the cash market, and then finding out they don't get delivered on the cash market. So they're ended up basically making short.
On a single Monday, 1.4 billion ounces of paper silver were sold on COMEX, over 150% of annual global mine production, in a blatant attempt to suppress the price. This exposes the fatal disconnect between the bankrupt paper futures markets, COMEX/LBMA, and the physical market, where China has halted exports and industrial demand from AI and new EV batteries is insatiable.
The great taking. Those laws are on the books across the world. They started in 2014. The ink is dry. All throughout the Western world, if you have stocks or bonds with a broker, they're for your benefit, but they're not your stocks or bonds. They're on the broker's balance sheet. Same thing with banks. If you put money into a bank, you're no longer a depositor. You are a lender, and you're the most subordinated lender. So these laws have been put on the books to basically, when things collapse, everything's going to be taken. Corporate raiders, they go in, they buy the company, and then they split the assets up, or they take the pension plan or whatever. That's what's happening again now, with corporate raiders in private equity. What they've done is they come in, they buy a company, and then they load it with debt, and they take that capital out. So mathematically, from the get-go, many of these corporations were dead men walking from day one. You can't get ETFs, and you can't get mutual fund certificates. But generally speaking, for most stocks, you still can get them. You call your broker, You tell them that you want to send your shares to the transfer agent under DRS, that's direct registration of securities. Um, Once the transfer agent has those securities, then you contact the transfer agent. You say, send me a certificate. And it generally will take you anywhere from, I don't know, call it 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. If your broker sends you the certificate, they're going to charge you $500. If you're if you do it this way through the transfer agent, it should cost you maybe $50 per certificate. But think of that as an insurance policy that if your broker goes under, it doesn't matter because you have title in your hand. I don't believe in crypto at all. I believe
I
it's digital
figured.
air.
Yeah.
I think people are going to find out that it was just like GLD, SLV, the other ETFs. I believe that crypto was created as a pressure relief valve from the demand that was going to go into gold and silver.
Halter warns this is setting up the greatest short squeeze of all time in silver. Beyond metals, he details the systemic collapse, corporations being intentionally loaded with debt and killed by private equity, the great taking laws that will seize brokerage assets, and why personal preparation, food, water, energy, security, is now non-negotiable.
They've suppressed the price for so many years that the mining industry, most silver that comes to market is a byproduct of lead, zinc, nickel, et cetera, et cetera. There's very few pure silver mines in the world. So the supply has not even come close to keeping up with demand. And now we've got bigger problems coming up with supply. You've got, we know that Chinese companies, Indian companies, et cetera, are scouring Latin America and try to buy doré directly from the miners. And go one step further. I mean, crypto has been advertised, lauded, et cetera, by mainstream media, CNBC. I mean, they do so much and have done so much on crypto. And I believe the powers that be wanted to see crypto, take off and go to the moon, because that would attract capital that otherwise, wanting to get out of the system, would have gone to gold or silver. The best way to protect your assets is to have as few or no intermediaries between you and your capital. Meaning, if you want to own stocks, hold the certificates. The certificates are like a deed of trust or a title to a car. If you want to own gold and silver, don't do it through an ETF because they don't necessarily even own gold or silver. They own contracts, and it's on your broker's balance sheet. It's not yours. So you're better off, if you're going to do gold and silver, own it outright yourself, either in hand or at a private non-bank vault. No, it's unfortunate that this is happening. I mean, but you see it in every facet of life, people trying to steal from you every day. I would just say that if you're going to look to buy gold and silver, look online and see where prices are. There's probably 8 or 10 major dealers that you'll just type in gold or silver. You look at it, Google it. They'll come up, and just look at their prices. And if somebody's way out of whack, or if they're telling you, oh, you have to do this special coin of the Western markets, they're not real. And my past business partner, Jim Sinclair, talked about, he envisioned the day where COMEX gold would be $10 an ounce offered, no one willing to buy, and China $50 an ounce bid and no one willing to sell. People need to have the outlook that they need to protect themselves because no one else is going to protect you. And that means with what we see happening in the financial system, I see credit at some point is going to become a problem. Credit is going to maybe not cease altogether, but it's going to become very difficult, and that will affect the real economy. It'll affect the financial economy too. But you need to have the mindset where you've got to be on your own. You have to do for yourself. And that includes, do you have first off, do you live in a city? If you live in a city and things go down, you're dead. You've got to be in a less densely populated area. You need to be able to create your own energy. You need to be able to purify your own water. You have to have a food source, whether it be stockpiled or you can hunt and fish, or do you have greenhouses? Can you grow? Can you grow year round? Uh, you need to take responsibility for yourself because no one else is going to do that. And I mean, when you dial 911, nobody's going to answer. So can you protect your position? Those are the things you need to think about. Those are the things you need to address. Say that, yeah, if we're not in a revolution already, the powers that be they want everything to come down. What did the WEF tell you for how many years? You will own nothing and you will be happy. And the only way to own nothing is if they take the whole system down. And that's what this is all about. That's why kids can't read or write anymore. That's why healthcare is like so ridiculous. And if anybody gives you a number, if anybody gives you a number for either gold or silver, that's where they're going to peak, they're full of crap because nobody can predict that. Nobody can forecast that. I mean, go back to 2008, and I think it was 2015 or 16. You look at Volkswagen, there was $10 a share, and then the next day it's 300.
Well,
I mean, that's a short squeeze. And I think that's what we're headed for in silver. I don't believe that silver is going to trade at par 1-to-1 with gold. Like I said, there's no question about it. The world has changed so much. Just go back 25 years ago, before 9/11. It was a completely different world. Then 9/11 happened, and what happened? Law after law after law has chipped away at our liberties, at our freedoms.
That's true.
It's an entirely new world from that standpoint. Go back 25 years ago, the majority of kids could read and do math. They can't do that anymore. I mean, they're purposely being dumbed down.
Not good.
I think about healthcare. Think about just the entire world. Everything has changed. Think about somebody who was born 100 years ago, 1925, and if they were in a coma for the last 70 years, they would not even remotely recognize this world. I'm really not sure. I'm sure that, I mean, there's no way you're going to get a certificate with crypto.
But you can put it in your own
this
wallet.
This is really not a topic. Right. Yeah, you can do that. You can put it in your own physical wallet. But this is really not a great topic for me to talk about because right, they can't roll that is a function of the higher interest rates. They're not able to roll the debt over. And that's the same thing is happening in the commercial real estate. Interest rates have gone higher, and many of these real estate deals that were done on 1%, 2%, 3% rates, the revenues just don't work at 5%, 6%, 7% rates.
Yeah, it's not.
And you've already seen probably $1 trillion or more in commercial real estate as far as drop in value. Then these are losses. Who's going to eat these losses? Is it the banking system? We'll see. But you're talking. This has been going on for 50 plus years. The consolidation of the farming industry, and one of the problems is estate taxes. Family farms, if they've owned the farm and they don't do what they need to do from an estate planning standpoint, the family gets wiped out because they don't have the cash to pay estate taxes on the family farm. So a lot of them have just been they've gone under and basically had to sell the real estate to pay the taxes or part of the real estate. The other part of that, I think, is the input costs have risen so much, and that's a squeeze on the profit margins. The inputs of the only one input that I know of that's significant or hasn't really moved up in the last 5 years would be diesel.